There's a school of thought in chess that you should play the man, not the board. If this is true, there's a lot you can learn about your opponent from their choice of opening variation. King's Indian and Grunfeld type players tend to be well booked up. They'll accept structural weaknesses in return for counter-attacking chances. The barrier attack takes away all black's fun from playing the King's Indian. In fact, white can often attack black on the king's side in its variation. What we're doing is we're throwing black on his own resources from an early stage. The question is black up to the task? This is a mainline King's Indian classical variation after 12 moves. It's many players' idea of a chess nightmare for white. Black has an automatic kingside attack. If that isn't enough, there are dozens of books telling black exactly how to proceed, either to deliver mate or to create a complicated position. If you're not a master, this probably translates to it's unclear if you will be mated or not. Not much fun, unless you have days or perhaps weeks to study this one line. Isn't it time to put the ball back in black's court? The barrier attack avoids not only the King's Indian, but the Grunfeld too, and this time there are no books for black to fall back on. After d4, King's Indian players will respond with the move knight f6. White plays 2 knight f3, and black plays 2 g6. At this point, King's Indian and Grunfeld players will be hoping for the move 3 c4. But we're not going to play that. We're going to play the move 3 knight c3. This produces an instant dilemma for a King's Indian or Grunfeld player, especially I would say for the King's Indian player. Grunfeld players are used to moving their pawn to d5 in this position, but King's Indian players like to play the move d6. The trouble with this move is it allows white to play the move 4e4, whereupon black's not in a King's Indian anymore, black's in a Pirc or modern defence. Returning to 3 knight c3, the only way black can cross white's plans at this moment is by the move d5. Otherwise white can just simply carry on with e4 next move. And now I'm recommending the move bishop f4. This introduces the barrier attack. Although the barrier attack has a reputation for being somewhat of a mad hacker's opening, I think this is unjustified. It's true that if black defends inaccurately, then white can often launch a devastating kingside attack. However, when black defends well, as in the main line with c5, which we'll see later, then it is necessary for white to hone his endgame skills to exploit small but persistent advantages. Again, your opponent will have no theory books to run to. Let me show you how white's basic plans in the barrier attack unfold. White will continue, in general, from this position, e3, bishop e2, knight e5. This is a very important move in the barrier attack. And then, depending on how black's defended himself, white has a choice of either razzing the h-pawn up the board with h2 to h4 to h5, and white will then hope to open the h-file with h takes g6, and then deliver mate along the h-file using the queen and rook battery, sometimes eliminating the key defenders on g7 and f6. If black counterattacks against white's centre vigorously with the move c5, then I'll be recommending a quieter approach for white, involving castling. As we'll see, there's less chance of white mating black now, but white's king is safe, and white will play for a small positional advantage. Returning to our basic barrier attack position after bishop f4, I think the majority of black players at this point will play bishop g7. They're going to have to play that move at some point anyway. And we continue naturally enough with the move e3. Black's main tries at this point involve castling, followed by either c6, bishop g4, b6, or perhaps the best move of all in this position, c5. I'll be looking at all of these, but for the moment, before black castles, I want to have a quick look at what will happen if black leaves his king in the centre. After all, white does like to mate black on the h-file in the barrier attack. Black has to be slightly careful at this stage. A natural developing move such as knight b d7 in this position is actually a mistake. The Leicester Grandmaster Mark Hebden once told me one of his opponents played this move against him in a weekend tournament and was duly shocked by white's reply, knight b5. Already black is in serious trouble in this position. There is no adequate way for him to defend the pawn on c7. Black has a couple of other tries in this position which I'll quickly examine too. Black can play a6, for instance, with the idea of playing knight b d7 next move. Black can play c6, which is a more principled move, and black can try something like bishop f5 or perhaps bishop g4. We'll be examining these two. First, let's deal with the move a6. Although this does have the benefit of preventing knight b5, it's not really a great move in any other respect. White should continue with his normal barrier attack plan, bishop e2. Black played knight b d7, the move he'd prepared for. Knight e5. Black plays c6, cementing his centre, but I'm not impressed by black's play. And white now gets on with it on the kingside, h4. Black can see a kingside attack looming now, and so decides to exchange off some pieces. He plays knight e4. White takes, knight takes e4. D takes e4. White ploughs on with h5. Black tries to exchange some more pieces with knight takes e5. Black desperate to get into an endgame. And now white played the move h6 in Sherbakov versus Hoang Fang, Chelyabinsk 1990. This is a very important move, I feel, when black hasn't castled kingside. The bishop, of course, would like to move to a square such as f6 here, but after d takes e5, the bishop is trapped more or less on the open board. He can't move anywhere. White will win a piece. Black in the game tried queen a5 check. Normally white avoids queen exchanges in the barrier attack, but here white was quite happy to play queen d2. Black took, queen takes d2 check. White recaptures. Black played bishop takes h6, getting rid of the annoying pawn on h6, but his problems aren't over here. White played bishop takes e5. Black's bishop on h6 is attacked, and the rook on h8 at the same time. Black has only one move to try and get out of trouble, the move f6. White continued with rook takes h6. Black f takes e5. Rook a to h1. Black bishop e6. Black's desperately trying to catch up with development. Rook takes g6. White removes this pawn first because the h7 pawn is not running anywhere. In this position, white enjoys a clear advantage due to the scattered nature of black's remaining pawns, and white went on to win a nice game in 51 moves. Again, we're concentrating on lines where black doesn't want to castle at an early stage. Black could try the move bishop f5. In fact, very often in the barrier attack, black has a problem with the development of this bishop. On f5, it can be a target for white's pawns coming forward after, say, knight e5 and g4. On g4, it can be harassed by bishop e2 and knight e5. Let's see how things develop after bishop f5. White again plays the normal move, bishop e2. Black pawn to c6. White knight e5. Now we can see white is limbering up for a g2, g4 pawn advance, which furthers his kingside attack. In Suetin against Borisenko from the Kiev Championship in 1954, black tried to swap some pieces. Yet again, this is a common reaction in the barrier attack. Black very anxious to get rid of this strong and imposing looking knight on e5. So black played knight f d7. White advanced with g4. Bishop retreated to e6. White could possibly leave his knight on e5 in this position, but he decided black's pieces looked so cramped, the knights really getting in each other's way. He played the move knight d3. White continued to manoeuvre in this game, but always enjoyed the advantage. White has a very secure position in the centre, and black's bishop still hasn't solved its opening problems. A major alternative for black at this juncture is the move c6. White should continue bishop e2 in this position. Black can play knight b d7 here, or queen b6. This is the move I want to examine first, counter-attacking against white's pawn on b2. Well, surprisingly, I think if black wants to take that pawn, we should let him. But first we should play the sneaky move a3. Well, if black's feeling greedy, he could try the move queen takes b2 in this position. But it'll be the first and last time he tries that against the barrier attack. Knight a4 traps the queen nicely. So black in the game Hodgson-Wolf, an all-grandmaster clash from New York 1990, played the move bishop g4 in this position. Hodgson showed that the barrier attack isn't just a one-sided opening by playing the move b4 in this position. White is trying to clamp down on the black queen side. Black tried knight b d7. White castled. Black harassed white's bishop with knight h5. Bishop came to g5. Black continued attacking it with h6. Bishop returned to h4. Black played g5. And rather than give up the bishop pair lightly, white played the move h3, harassing black's bishop in turn. Black was probably worried about moving the bishop to f5 because of possibilities of g4 in this position, or, as white continued in the game, after bishop e6, knight d2. This is a counter-attack against black's knight on h5 from the bishop on e2. Black tried the tricky move knight f4 here. Taking the bishop straight away would have just compromised his kingside pawn structure. White played bishop g3. Black took on e2. And white recaptured. Queen takes e2. Black continued to play aggressively here with f5. Black does have the two bishops in this position, but the position is extremely closed. That should favour the knights. White played knight b3. White's preparing his queenside assault. After queen d8, knight a5, white was for choice in this position. Black's queenside is weak. Pawns on b7 and c6 are under fire. And black has some problems actually defending them. The rook can't come to b8 because of the bishop on g3. Black could try the move knight b d7. White would continue knight e5 as normal. After knight takes e5, Black's trying to delay castling, remember, in this line. Bishop takes e5. Bishop e6. The bishop could come to f5, which seems like a more active square, but it's just going to be harassed by g4 again. As if to make his point, White played g4 anyway. Black played h6. We are now following Hebden against Ernst, another all-grandmaster clash from the London Lloyds Bank tournament in 1991. Queen came to d2. Black queen d7. And White's pawn moved up to f3 here. Well, the time has really come for Black to make a decision about where his king's going in this position. After Black castled, White castled on the opposite side, castle's queen side. Black played b5. White pawn to h4. A typical scenario has arisen where both sides are going for a pawn storm against the opposing king. One advantage for White is that the Black kingside pawn structure has already been weakened by h6 and g6. In anticipation of White's coming kingside assault, you may think that going to the queenside would be a more sensible option. But I think Black has problems here too. White would play the cunning move knight a4. This threatens knight c5 when the Black queen is in serious trouble, and when she retreats, White's queen can leap into the fray with queen a5, threatening mate on c7, and of course the pawn on a7. White has a tremendous attacking position. Going back, if Black tries to keep the knight out of c5 with the move b6, it's even worse news. White plays the move bishop a6, check. Black's in terrible trouble. He must give up his queen. It's almost checkmate. Queen b7. White takes the queen. Bishop takes queen, check.
This is Grandmaster Damian Lemos here for OnlineChessLessons.net. First of all, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to receive more free chess videos from us, you can just click the subscribe button below. I would also highly recommend signing up for my free mail course, the 10 Grandmaster Secrets to Dominate Chess. During this exclusive course from OnlineChessLessons.net, I'll share with you my own Grandmaster shortcuts to effective attacking, defending, and growth hacks to improving your chess without complicated books or memorization. So sign up by clicking the sidebar on the right, and I know you won't be disappointed. Once more, this is Damian for OnlineChessLessons.net, and I'll see you in my videos. Thank you.